Redshift here, doing my part to shift perceptions out of the pink and into the red. Okay, so I was watching a new Faith J. Goldy video, right? She's a former coworker of Lauren Southern's. She kind of was trying to do her own thing on YouTube for a little while, but she wasn't putting out all that many videos. I don't think she really gave it a very serious shot at, making YouTube her professional career, a job, but whatever. Recently she decided to run for mayor, right? I don't know if that's a bid for a more stable source of income, or if it's, just because she doesn't like YouTubing that much, or wasn't, or she just felt she wanted to contribute, make the world a better place. I don't know what her intentions in wanting to become mayor are, but I think what she said in this newest video is, she's like, she was covering this some kind of shooting that happened in a Toronto mall or something. So it was like a 6.5 minute video, almost. So in this video, she says something about like, we need something like, we need more money for the cops, and we need to bring back some kind of carding program or something, and or policy or whatever, and just saying all this stupid stuff like we need to give more power to the police to stop this kind of thing from happening, or like we need to give them more intelligence power and whatnot. Or it's so retarded. All it is, basically, the takeaway from her video is that, oh, surprise, surprise, another woman advocating that we surrender our freedom so that we can have quote-unquote security, even though that security is always, just like the dragon, you're chasing that dragon, you never reach it, You ever see, or better yet, the digital example of it in that episode of South Park, right? Like playing that stupid video game, Heroin Hero. He's always shooting up his arm and chasing the dragon and never reaching it. That's exactly what it's like. It's like, oh, you want some security? Here, give me a little freedom. Give us some of your freedom, says the government. And then we, because women are voters now, give them our freedom, and then the security never arrives. And then it's, oh, don't you want that security? We need a little more freedom. And then we give them some more of our freedom, and then the security never arrives. And then government just uses that extra power to, terrorize us even more with higher taxes and whatnot, and thus we end up in a position where we're poorer than ever before. There's even more social dissension, more people going on killing sprees, and more social, dysfunction and lack of cohesion and all the rest of it. Things just get worse. Then the government says, oh, look at, things are bad. We need you need to give us more of your freedom so that things can get better, because we can provide you with security. They just keep offering the same carrot of security, and they never, ever, ever give it to us. Because they can't. Because it's impossible. Because when someone wants to go on a killing spree, they're going to go on a killing spree. If you take away their guns, they're just going to mow people down with a car. You take away their license, they're just going to buy a kitchen knife and go stab as many people as they can. You cannot stop people from doing what they want to do. You could give up every single freedom you have, and you still wouldn't be able to stop people. This is the way it is. This is life. This is existence. It's always going to be that way. Life is always going to be dangerous. But what's really, really dangerous and really, really psychotic and really, really impoverishing is letting government have massive power. Because then it's even worse. Because then you're getting tons of unnecessary problems, which furthermore exacerbate the problems that are avoidable and the ones that aren't avoidable. It just makes everything worse. So this is the insanity that women advocate as a solution. Giving up even more of our freedom so that we can have so-called security. This is why you can't let women vote. This is why you can't let women hold office. This is what happens. It's totally psychotic. Now, either we need to genetically engineer women to be far braver, far more rational, far more independence-minded, like a few women are, admittedly. Some women are very rebellious, very independent, very much not interested in slavery, but this is just a tiny, tiny percentage of women. I mean, this is probably like 0.1% or 0.0% of women are like this. Most women are scared. Levels of anxiety among women, they've done studies, are higher. Their levels of anxiety are higher and they perceive, and the way they drive, they drive way slower and more carefully and all this. It doesn't mean they're actually better drivers. It just means they drive more carefully, more in a reticent kind of way. So this is just their orientation toward everything in life, women, right? So except for promiscuity, it would seem these days, right? But yeah, so this is a massive, massive problem. You let women have any power at all, they will quickly take that power and give it to government or give it to whatever power there is a president, an oligarch, a CEO, a government, whatever it is, they'll give the power to what they regard as the alpha, so that the alpha can provide them with security, right? This is what they will do. So giving them power is not giving them power. Giving women power is giving the people who have power over us power, because women just turn that power right back over to the people who are in charge of us, thus giving half of the vote to our masters who we are supposed to be master of, to keep everything sane and fair and peaceful and whatnot, right? Like they say, when the government, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is freedom and peace and stuff like that, right? That's exactly how it is. So when you turn over half of the votes to those very same people who you're supposed to be making afraid of you, so that you can keep them in line, so that you can have peace, so you can have prosperity, so you can have sanity and a level playing field and fast technological progress and all the benefits that come with having sound money in a free market economy, which we no longer have. When you do that, then you hamstring yourselves. You're fighting with one hand behind your back, and no matter how good of a boxer you are, if you're fighting some other person who's pretty strong and pretty fast, then, one hand, you're not going to be able to match him when he's using both his hands. So you give half of your power, your voting power, to the elites by giving it to women, and then that means that basically voting is worthless. You can't hold the elites in power. You can't hold the elites accountable. The elites who are in power, you can't hold them accountable anymore with voting. And then, so that just leads to violent revolution, civil war, revolutionary war, whatever, economic collapse, and then, the women lose the vote anyway. So this is the whole idea of giving women the vote and or allowing women to hold political office is utterly, utterly, utterly ridiculous. Now maybe they should be allowed to hold property, because if they fuck that up, if through their financial irresponsibility they screw that up, then they lose it, right? But giving them the power to vote allows them to have a say in who takes our power from us and to what extent. The government taking our power by passing laws outlawing things that used to be legal a couple hundred years ago in the beginning of America, or even for the first 100 years of America, right? And this just makes everything worse. It's like one bad action does not just have one bad effect, it has cascading effects, right? So like when you make government bigger or you eliminate fiat currency, this allows welfare. When you have welfare, this creates dysgenics and a lower sexual marketplace value for men and an unnaturally high sexual marketplace value for women, or maybe not a higher sexual marketplace value, but a power to not need men as much as they do naturally under free market and anarcho-capitalism or whatever, and thus so women neglect most men. This creates incel attacks. This creates MGTOW, which will lead to societal collapse because of men not providing, men not trying to overthrow the whole women working thing, which is a major cause of male poverty, and male poverty is a major cause of not even necessarily poverty, but just way less wealth than they would otherwise have. Like, if a man's making $200,000 a year, he's doing pretty fucking good, right? But he's not doing nearly as good as he would be under an honest money system where women did not work either. If we had that guy would be making somewhere more like $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 in purchasing power at least, right? Maybe he would be making less dollars, but those dollars would all buy way, 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 way more, right? So he would essentially, in purchasing power, be able to be buying, $400,000 to $600,000 worth of goods, right? If we had an honest money system and if no women worked, right? So even the men who aren't poor are still making way, way, way less than they would otherwise be. This gives them less free time, less ability to find out about all the red pills that they need to red pill themselves on, so we can hold the government accountable, so we can find out who the real enemy is, so we can actually fight the real enemy. So, this is how it is. Each negative action has multiple negative effects, and those multiple negative effects have further negative effects on society, which, have their own multiple negative effects, and it cascades, it goes off, it branches like a tree, it becomes this huge, huge problem. So this is why we cannot let women vote. This is why we cannot let women hold office, because they always trade freedom for security, and then they end up with neither, and we end up with neither also, we being men. This has been Redshift. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, fantastic. Hit the thumbs up button. If you did not, then go ahead and hit the thumbs down button. Honesty is good too. Leave a comment section. Leave a comment in the comment section if you want to. Peace trucks.